Hello everyone, Hive still here. I've been making Youngling guides for a while now, and I've been wanting to make videos to go with them, so here's my 2022 Youngling combo guide. If you want more of this kind of content, be sure to let me know. First of all, why another combo guide? Well, with 2022 around the corner, the final DLC released, and the game being all patched out, it's time to see where we're at. There's some great guides out there that still teach Youngling basics really well since patches haven't changed them too much. But the Youngling meta has evolved quite a bit, and the other Youngling combo guides are getting a little bit outdated. We found new combo routes, some combos we thought would be good turned out to be suboptimal or inconsistent, and we've had a lot of time to see how things play out in practice. The point of this guide is to give you what we know to be the most optimal true combos for each of Youngling's combo starters. Now, my definition of optimal strikes a balance between high consistency and maximum damage. In other words, this video is about boiling down Youngling's hundreds of combos into the best, most reliable options for each combo starter at every percent. It's not just bread and butter combos, we're going for the highest damage options, but still focusing on stuff that's actually used in high level play, stuff that works reliably against good opponents that know how to DI. I'm not going to cover super niche, unrealistic setups, nor will I waste time with super basic stuff. Like sure, just about everything combos into NAir, and sometimes is the way to go, but generally we can do much better than that. I'm also not going to talk much about platforms either. Most of the stuff I'll talk about here will work around platforms, and if it doesn't, I'll let you know. There's some optimizations we can do around platforms, but that introduces a lot of variables, and defining what's optimal becomes much more difficult, so we'll just have to do that in another video if you guys are interested. Alright, intro's done. From now on, we'll go over each combo starter from 0% to kill percent. It's a lot to cover, so I'll timestamp everything for quick reference. I also made a spreadsheet that summarizes everything in this video and includes references to other videos on the next page. It's got a ton of notes and should be very easy to use when you're practicing your combos, so check that out. Now let's get started. First, let's do down tilt. It's one of our main ground and neutral tools and one of our best combo starters, with a lot of other combo starters leading to down tilt. It's probably the biggest one to cover, so it makes sense to do it first. Starting at 0%, there are two main routes, both of which have issues. The optimal one is basically down tilt into short hop bair and then doing bair chains, 2-3 bairs into a grab or a dash attack or maybe a grounded spin attack. It's a ton of damage, but sadly there's some consistency issues against a decent chunk of the cast. It really depends on which down tilt hitbox you hit, how they DI, the opponent's character's properties. So small characters, the anime characters with really thin hitboxes, some of the really fast fallers, it's really tough to connect the bair properly. It can be quite tricky. You can make it work in training, but in practice it's not that consistent. So the other option I really like at low percent is down tilt, short hop fair into full hop back air. It's super consistent and you can adjust your dash distance before the bair to account for DI. You can also follow up with turnaround arrow into bair or up air. It's a little less consistent, that second part, but you can throw out the arrow pretty safely, see if it connects or not. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal. The issue with this route is that down tilt fair at 0% can be escaped by characters with a frame 2 air dodge or other escapes like Pokemon Trainer Switch, which is around 15 characters. This isn't a huge deal usually if they manage to air dodge through it because it's pretty laggy and you can kind of frame trap them pretty well by fast falling the fair. But against characters like Bayonetta or Mithra, you'll get punished pretty hard, so you might want to stick with bair or even a simple nair. Then at around 10-15%, your best option is going to be down tilt fair, which is completely true. So down tilt fair into arrow, short hop arrow, or full hop arrow depending on percents is going to be your best option. At these percents, bair doesn't really connect that well, unless you're talking heavy big bodies, so down tilt fair is the way to go for damage. The arrow follow-up is a safe option, not completely consistent, pretty dependent on who you're playing against, but it has good odds of connecting and extending the combo a little bit further. After 30%, down tilt into full hop back air is the way to go. It's super consistent if you learn how to IRR, it's good damage, it sets up a great horizontal advantage. Turnaround arrow also connects to extend the combo even further. Up bair is a decent alternative if they're DIing in, but bair can account for all DI really, and honestly our corner pressure is just flat out better than our juggling game, so you want to push them to the side with bair and then keep up air unstalled for kill percent. Full hop back air will bring us all the way up to kill percent, so around 85, where down tilt arrow dair is true. It's a tough combo to execute, especially against smaller characters, but it's really worth getting the hang of, so you can kill that much earlier. At 100%, we have a lot of kill options from down tilt. Forward air or aerial spin attack will kill from the side, maybe even earlier if you catch like a normal get up right in the corner of the stage. Down tilt arrow up air kills from the top at 100, and eventually down tilt up air will just kill, neither of which are very difficult to execute. And then finally NAir will give you easy kills from the side at around 120. The last combo I'll mention is down tilt into down air, which is actually true on DI in, and that's very good because DI in makes down tilt arrow confirms very difficult, so if they catch on to that fact, then just down air them. One last thing about execution, down tilt full hop fair and down tilt full hop dare are actually pretty frame tight, but that can be made a little bit easier with instant double jump. We've already seen a few high level younglings use that to their advantage, so I think it's worth learning. We don't really get new combos from IDJ, but the extra consistency is really nice. If you didn't know by now, Youngling Neutral Air is kind of amazing. It has low startup and low end lag, and it's a meaty, long-lasting hitbox. It's a super safe combo starter, especially during the early frames. Frames 4 and 5 of the move's sweet spot and do about 10% damage for a hard nair, setting up early combos and tech chases. Starting at 0%, landing a hard nair gives you an easy down tilt, which, as you know, gives you access to some really strong follow-ups. That'll work till about 15%, it really depends on how you land a down tilt and what each character's momentum is, so you have to be a little bit careful. Somewhere between 10 and 20%, they'll be sent too far away and your down tilt won't connect. It's really not a bad option to just dash and then down tilt because the reward is pretty big, but it's not totally true, so some fast buttons and spot dodge might beat it. But you can then mix up your follow-up after the dash to beat those options, so it's pretty good. Grab, on the other hand, is going to be true from 15% to about 25%, maybe less depending on their floatiness, and again, you have to be careful of your momentum. If you're unsure, I would just dash attack. Dash grab can definitely work, but it's kind of slow while DA is very easy and reliable. Finally, at around 35%, hard nair will send into a guaranteed tech chase, which you can get a lot from, and that'll work till about 45 to 50%, a little bit earlier for floaty characters. It's not too hard to tech honestly, but if you do manage to get the jab lock, you can straight up kill them, as we'll talk about a little bit later. Sour spot nair, or soft nair, is going to be mostly similar to hard nair, except at low percent where down tilt won't be true. You shouldn't really go for soft nair at low percent really, but if you do, from 0 to 15 you can use jab, which can actually be true if you space really well. Then from 15%, down tilt will be true if you have decent spacing, but if you land directly on top of your opponent's head, soft nair to down tilt won't be true until much higher percent, so you do have to be careful how you use the move, but otherwise it's a really great combo starter you'll be using a lot. Down tilt should reliably connect until about 60%, then like hard nair, they might be sent too far away, that really depends on your momentum. There's a narrow percent range from about 60 to 70% where you can try to go for F smash. It can even kill if you're really near the ledge or perhaps on a town and city or Kalos platform. It's pretty situational honestly, but everything else at this percent isn't great, so it's definitely worth trying out. Still, after 70%, dash attack is going to be our main option. Just like with hard nair, grab can also be true in some circumstances, but you have to identify those carefully because whiffing grab can be very bad. Since grab conversions at this percent can start to get tricky, I think the risk isn't really worth it when DA is very consistent and sets up a very good advantage. Finally, at 100%, soft nair will lead into tech chases, and at this percent it's very easy to convert those into kills. Next, let's talk about our other aerial combo starters, the first hit of back air, BAir1, and the first hit of forward air, FAir1. I grouped these together because beyond low percent, we get very similar conversions from either. At low percent, BAir1 is the perfect setup for bair chains, which we talked about in the down tilt section. Unlike down tilt though, this is a very consistent setup. It'll work on the whole cast, you'll have a much easier time chaining multiple bairs and getting a finisher like dash attack, grab, grounded spin attack, even forward air. This is probably our best 0% combo starter in terms of damage and consistency. FAir1 on the other hand doesn't have too much potential at 0%. It doesn't combo into down tilt, so we're left with doing jab into tech chases like we did for soft nair. Beyond that, at around 20-25%, both BAir1 and FAir1 will reliably combo into down tilt and net you some good damage. Note that depending on your spacing and the opponent, you might have to delay the down tilt by a few frames or you'll swipe under their feet, so be careful with that. At around 80%, you can also F smash after a BAir1 or FAir1, which does have some consistency issues. It's very frame tight, it really depends on how you land the first hit of fair or bair, but it can definitely be worth the risk given how early it kills. A little bit before 100%, FAir1 and BAir1 into grounded spin attack and set up some up air kills. FAir1 can also set up some down smash kills, but you do have to get a FAir1 drag down. It's not going to work reliably on a grounded opponent. We will learn some setups to get FAir1 drag downs reliably a little bit later. And finally, at 110%, you can get an easy up smash confirm, which works very reliably as of patch 12.0. Though sometimes you can space your fair or your back air a little bit too far away and up smash will miss, so be mindful of that. We have one more aerial combo starter. This is our aerial tether grab, also called ZAir. Most combo guides don't cover this one since it was changed in patch 7.0. This was actually a while back, so we have a better idea now of what it enables. It's decent. Really far ZAir hits are nice for poking and finishing combos, but they don't really lead into anything. And we have better options at close range. So in this guide, we'll focus on mid-range to close range conversions. At 0% until about 15%, you want to go for either grab or BAir follow-ups. Grab for fast followers and heavies, and BAir chains for floatier characters. After that, it's mostly going to be dash attack or NAir that works, until fair becomes true at about 60%. Fair does require you to be kind of close when you land the ZAir. It's much less lenient than NAir, but it'll kill from the sides much earlier from 95 to 100%. Finally, at around 110%, you can get an up smash follow-up, which kills nicely from the top, but again you do have to land quite close with the ZAir. Next up, we've got our tether grab. Grab at 0% has a lot of potential, but the execution is incredibly difficult in practice. The combo route I'm talking about is grab into back air, which requires flawless execution and the correct DI read. You can get into bad situations for missing this, so until you master the execution completely and are comfortable keeping track of the opponent's DI, I'd honestly just down throw NAir or up throw up air from 0 to 10%, or just don't grab at all until you have a little bit of damage in. Now if you want to master down throw BAir, let me explain the different routes depending on DI and character properties. Note that this will also apply as a low percent follow-up to grounded spin attack. So when you grab and down throw your opponent, they'll have 3 different options for DI. On DI in other words they DI towards you, you full hop straight up without momentum and then instantly back air while adding drift towards your opponent. If the opponent doesn't DI, you need to first turn around in place and then full hop without momentum, then back air while adding drift towards your opponent. Finally, if they DI out, they DI away from you, you full hop back air with momentum towards your opponent, so IRR is going to be great for that. If you manage to connect the initial BAir successfully, you've set yourself up for a lot of damage. Generally, after that first back air, you want to briefly fast fall and then double jump BAir. This can lead to an up B, aerial spin attack, which is fairly easy and consistent. It can also lead to a turnaround arrow, and then another back air, or maybe an up air. It's a conversion we've seen before, it's a little bit less consistent, more character dependent, but it works really well against bigger and floatier characters, and it's definitely optimal in terms of damage and the advantage it sets up. Finally, against fast falling characters and or heavier characters at very low percent, there's also back air into landing and then short hop back air. From that point on, it's just a regular back air string, so you do 1 or 2 and then finish with a dash attack or maybe a grab. It is huge damage and very cool looking, but probably the hardest combo to apply in practice, especially versus opponents who consciously mix up their DI. I don't really believe you can react to the DI given how tight the execution on those turnarounds is, but you can definitely notice how your opponent generally DIs throws, and later in the set it's probably worth going for. Other than that, grabbing basically gives you an up air. I would up throw up air from about 10 to 30%. It's extremely easy and consistent, not so affected by DI, while down throw up air requires you to react quite well to DI. In any case, from 30% onwards, only down throw up air will work, so you'll have to get used to it. At around 90%, there's really nothing great from grabs. Forward throw will send far-ish, but it doesn't really kill until 140, 150 if the opponent DIs properly, and there's no DI mix-up option. So I would avoid using forward throw to keep it fresh as a last resort kill option, and consider using up throw or down throw to set up juggles, or maybe back throw to create some platform tech chases. Our grounded up B, called grounded spin attack or GSA for short, is both a great out of shield option and a combo starter. At 0%, you can get some nice back air strings in the same way as we had for down throw. Again, you'll have to read or react your opponent's DI to get the most out of those. The execution is basically the same as we had for down throw, though here it's not only about your opponent's DI, but also where GSA decides to send your opponent. So you're kind of left reacting here, which is a little bit easier than down throw in my experience. Definitely hard, but doable. You can get individual back airs until around 55%, maybe a bit more on bad DI, and after that is basically just up air, which will kill around 105% and work till about 140, heavily character dependent. At higher percent, opponents basically have a 50-50 chance of DIing correctly, which there's really not much you can do about, so don't try to force it if they get lucky, cause you'll get punished for missing an up air or chasing them too much. Okay, quick last thing before we head on to the projectile section of the guide. We've talked about tech chases, but what if they miss tech? Well, there are two common ways you can jab lock, obviously jab, but also soft nair, which can really come in handy if you did like a rising nair which caused them to miss tech, or in situations around platforms. The best conversion at mid percent is going to be Boomerang into FAir1 drag down tilt, though the execution can be tight. You can also just raw down tilt if you're not confident, it's still going to be very good damage. Eventually you just want to smash stack them. Forward smash is just going to kill pretty early, especially if they're near the ledge. Okay, moving on to projectiles. Now this gets a little bit more complicated because not only are there percent ranges, but there are also distance ranges when it comes to projectiles. Some combos might work only if you're very close to your opponent. Some might work if you're further away. I made sure to include valid distance ranges in the spreadsheet. For example, you can see here a little 3+, it means 3 units of distance and beyond this combo will work. Or for example, distant ranges, the 0 to 3 bracket here, meaning from point blank range up to 3 units of distance, this combo will work. You can see what a unit of distance looks like in training mode, but for practical reference, Young Link's dash distance is about 3 units, so that gives you an idea. Let's cover Boomerang first. You should know Boomerang has a smash input and a tilt input. The smash input has higher speed, distance, and damage, so more hits done and therefore more combo potential, so it's generally what you want to go for. That's not to say that the tilt input Boomerang doesn't have great uses for controlling space, and it can set up combos in the same way as the smash input. It's not too different, but the percent range I'll put here is going to be for smash rank. You can pretty much do the same combos, just 5 or 10% later. Let's start with close hit, smash Boomerang. When you're less than 1.5 units away from your opponent and hit them with Boomerang, you get a strong hit which has a ton of hit stun and can set up some crazy combos. At low percent, it'll work pretty much like down tilt, just with easier execution. Both forward air and back air follow-ups I talked about earlier will work really well. Actually, back air is a lot more consistent here, but since Boomerang does so much damage, you'll maybe get away with one less back air. Until about 50%, you pretty much just want to forward air or back air and follow up in the same way as we did for down tilt. Then, at about 50%, things start to get really interesting. After hitting the Boomerang, you can delay your fair conversion until just about the peak of Young Link's jump. Then you input your fair, and then you fast fall, giving you a FAir1 drag down. From this, you'll be able to convert into down tilt mainly, and go from there. But also you can F smash, you can down smash, up smash, grounded spin attack, all these work and will be good in some scenarios, which I mostly covered in the FAir1 section. The damage potential of these combos is huge, and at 55% on midweights you can straight up kill with Boomerang into FAir1 drag down tilt, arrow, down air. You'll be able to convert into FAir1 until about 90%, and you can actually extend this range a little bit further by using tilt input Boomerang at higher percents. At 90% and above, you can convert close hit smash Boomerang into full hop down air for very easy kills. And finally, when you get into the hundreds, you can just convert into forward air, maybe up air or nair, and close out the stock. Now when it comes to the far hit of Boomerang, things get a little bit more complicated. The first thing to note is that there's a range around 2.5 units where you won't get the Boomerang catch animation because you're close enough, but you're not close enough to get the strong close hit of Boomerang. So in this range you can get a far hit and then combo into dash attack or maybe NAir at low percent, but it's pretty low reward overall. If you're a bit further, you'll get interrupted by Boomerang catch, so you can't really combo into anything. If you're beyond 3 units away from your opponent, you can immediately jump to avoid the Boomerang catch animation since the jump squat animation prevents it. But since you jumped kind of far away from your opponent, you can only get a ZAir off of it. That makes Farang pretty weak at early percents when it comes to combos. It'll be more for controlling space. However, it's a bit better if you catch people in the air with an angled Boomerang. Sometimes the angle lets you avoid the catching animation, and then you can NAir, ZAir, FAir, maybe up air depending on how things work out. Often you still don't get true conversions, but it'll set up juggles and decent advantage state overall. At around 55% or even earlier versus floaty characters, you start to be able to convert far Boomerang hits into arrow ladders. You can get just about anything off of arrow ladders if you have tight execution. There's a good video by ProNerdy that explains the different methods of getting good execution. I'll link it in the resources below. So from 55% to about 75%, you want to get as much damage as possible with conversions like Boomerang into another arrow, and then a finisher like forward air, up air, maybe aerial spin attack. Kind of depends how the spacing turns out, you just have to judge in the moment. At around 75%, you can start killing with arrow ladders. First with a down air finisher, then up air will kill a little bit later. Forward air and ASA will also kill from the sides. This is a really important kill confirm to master, especially versus characters that have crazy good close quarter combat, since they'll stop you from getting down tilt combo starters. Also versus characters that have really good anti-airing, because then you'll have trouble getting aerial combo starters. Moving on to our neutral B, Fire Arrow. Arrows can also give us different combos at different ranges, and beyond that, you can charge your arrows to add a significant amount of knockback and some more hit stun, which does make some combos more viable, but overall is quite a lot of variability to work with, so it does take some time to figure all this out. At low percent, you can grab off of arrow, but honestly dash attack is much more reliable all around. I think beyond 0% or against floatier characters, grab really isn't worth it, unless you have a read on them. Dash attack works really well until 70-80% depending on how floaty they are. If you charge the arrow a bit, they'll go much higher and DA might be hard to connect, in which case NAir is very reliable. Back air is also an option, but requires you to be pretty close. Most arrow combos are going to be really tight. Then as percents increase, the range where combos work does as well. Like at 10% we need to be kind of an instant dash attack range to combo, but around 30% we can be like a unit further, 50% even more. Same goes for narrow back air. Around 85% and beyond, arrow ladders start to work and you can get similar conversions like Boomerang just a little later. Now the range you need to be in is pretty precise at those early percents and really character dependent, but it becomes more lenient with percents. I hate to say it, but you kind of have to get a feel for it and just trust in the moment, because these combos are really tight and you can't react to them getting hit or them having a certain trajectory. In terms of kill options, you have access to Dare to kill early, and later Fair, ASA, maybe up air. This is the main way to kill with long range arrows. When it comes to closer range arrows, you can start to kill with Fair at about 110 and up air a little bit later. Up air basically requires you to be point blank range for it to work, but charging your arrows a little bit makes the confirm much more comfortable. It'll often work when you catch them dashing towards you, or maybe you'll be reverse a landing with arrow and end up very close to them. Our final projectile is down B, or bomb. I'll have two sections here, first bomb toss and then bomb ZDrop. Bomb isn't the most consistent projectile, mostly because the launch direction can mess you up and it has a very short fuse, but it's an important tool to include in your gameplay and it's actually quite decent out of shield. Bomb forward toss is frame 9 out of shield, while ZDrop is frame 5 out of shield, which is pretty nice. I spent a lot of time labbing bomb actually. I have a big document explaining all the mechanics and all the options in depth. If you're interested, I'll link it below, but I'll give you the gist here. Bomb can lead to some bear chains comfortably at low percent, so that's what you generally want to go for. A little bit later, around 15%, you can actually get FAir1, which is great, but you do have to be pretty close range when you throw the bomb. So generally, at close range conversions, FAir1 is the way to go, and then longer range, you want to just run up and do a normal short hop rising Fair. Another way to get FAir1 or BAir1 starters is throwing the bomb down when you're in the air, and then fairing or bairing them as you land. Above 75%, you can actually get bomb toss into arrow ladders, which can get you some early kills, but bomb's unreliability can really mess with these. Still, close range you want to use FAir1, and far range you want to try these arrow confirms. Then around 100 or 110% you can just straight up kill from the side with fair, or kill from the top with down air or up smash. I'll say in the case of dair and up smash, it does require you to be pretty close to convert properly, which means the launch direction may vary, and floaty characters are especially hard to catch, but I do believe that's the best we've got. Bomb ZDrop also has a lot of potential, though we're still not seeing it applied too much at high level gameplay. There are two ways to ZDrop, with forward momentum or standing in place, that is without any momentum at all. The first way can lead to some crazy combos, but you need to set it up at a specific percent, while the other one you can just do out of shield, which is a bit more viable at any percent. You can also do stuff like FAir1 ZDrop, which has the same effect as out of shield ZDrop. If you get ZDrop out of shield, you can FAir1 drag down really reliably at any percent, so you can just go from there. Now to get ZDrop confirms with momentum, you need to set it up with something like Fair2 at 0%. Hard NAir works around 20%, and then soft NAir works around 50% and can lead to kills. There's a lot you can do after the ZDrop, so you can check the documents for all the options. FAir1 and BAir1 can work, fair and dair also work for reliable damage. You can also set up kills with footstool. To do that, you need to ZDrop and wait a few frames, then double jump to get the footstool, and then you air dodge diagonally down and jab lock them. It's tough to set up and might be not too viable honestly, but I'm hoping to see more of it. The other approach is footstool first and then ZDrop, which I'm not sure is completely true because of our slow airspeed, and I doubt it's practical, but it's very cool and I'd be glad to be wrong about it. Overall, this section is probably not something you should be too worried about if you're just learning Young Link, but it's probably the area with the most potential for optimization. I'm including it here so more people can try it out and we can see where it leads. Again, if you want to know everything about ZDrop, we have a big document about that. I'm going to play some bonus honorable mention combos while I wrap up. Stuff that works but isn't often optimal, in my experience anyway, kind of situational stuff. Honorable mention to NAir, which can always be used to extend combos. Especially when you hesitate and you're not sure if you can pull off one of the harder combos. Just take the NAir, take the damage, there's nothing wrong with that. Up air kind of works in the same way. There's also up tilt, which can lead into bairs and up airs, but in my opinion up tilt is kind of situational, has decent coverage, but there's usually a better option when you think about it. I believe these are all the combos you'll need to know to optimize Young Link's combo game to the highest level. You might think it's a lot from the length of this video, but since many combos lead into each other, it's not too bad. Learn all the down tilt stuff, then you add the aerial combo starters like FAir1 that lead into down tilt, then you add Boomerang or Bomb that lead into FAir1 and so on. It doesn't take too long for the combo tree to become clear, I think. The challenge is more figuring out what to actually look for in game, since it's super matchup dependent. There's also way more combos, but they're just not optimal, so they didn't make it into this guide. There's also some optimization to do around platforms, but nothing too out of the ordinary given what we've seen here. So that's it. Thanks for watching my video, making it all the way to the end. It's actually years of research, so if you think I earned it, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch and Twitter, and comment below, let me know what kind of content you'd like to see next. I have lots of ideas, but I'm curious what you guys think. Shout out to the Young Link Discord, the best character Discord. We have so many resources on there. What are you doing if you're not in there? Full of genuinely kind and helpful people who've helped me a ton and will help you too. If there's anything you think I forgot, or you have new ideas for combo optimization, be sure to let me know in the comments below on Twitter, Young Link Discord, drop by my Twitch where I stream a lot of Young Link gameplay from Friday through Monday. See you there, and until next time, keep practicing and doing your best.